Welcome to RetroLogic, episode 72. That's wrong.
Nope.
What episode is it? 75.
I knew you were.
I totally Ron Bergen did that. I'm Dan Caparello here with John Cummins and Sam Wagers, and the Switch has folders. We did it, guys. The Switch has folders. I already put some folders. Did you guys add any folders yet?
I did.
I made one.
The update just dropped. I have one so far. It's just retro games for me, like just anything that.
Same. I was actually just working on putting like all the like multiplayer like party games in a folder. I figured those are the ones you really need a folder for, because then you're like, oh, yeah. Where is, Jackbox?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to find it, and it's buried back here because it's been months. But now I have people who want to play Jackbox.
Right. Exactly. John, did you make any folders?
Yeah, folders were like a heaven send for me. I have like 300 or 400 digital Switch games.
Right.
Like, I needed folders bad. Like, I was constantly, I remember playing this game, but unless I see the icon, I'm like not gonna know where it's at. But so constantly just like scrolling down through my game list.
And then you might miss it because it's like scrolling and scrolling. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first thing I did, is just start throwing all my Nintendo first party in a folder, so I know where all those are at real quick, and then RPGs and indie games, things that are on deck that I need to play like next, have their own folder.
Oh, that's a good idea. I need to do that. But RetroLogic isn't just a podcast. It's also a whole community of retro gamers. You can visit retrologic.games for our Discord link, fair trade merchandise, blog posts written by our very own Sam Wagers, and dive into our family of podcasts featuring Retro Groove, which is a music history podcast, On Topic Retro, which is a podcast dedicated to one video game per episode, hosted by our very own John Cummins. Go do all of those things. Now, before we get too deep into things, guys, we have a little bit of housekeeping. We have a new podcast, John, that I literally just said, called On Topic Retro, and you are sort of taking over the mantle of Retro Rewind, being a topical one game per episode podcast host.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what changes are coming to Retro Rewind, and why people should be excited, because it is exciting. It's good things.
So there's not a whole lot of changes. I'm just trying to organize it a little bit better to make it more easily distribute, be able to easily distribute it to everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody's on the same page, that we're all getting a voice on what we want to play. Starting with this upcoming Retro Rewind, we will pick from 3 games from the NSO app or apps. So this month we're going to do Genesis games. It won't always be Genesis games. I'm going to mix it up. It might not even all be 3 games from the same system every time. Just happen this way this time. And then on the 3rd month, so 4 times a year, I will pick a random group of games from a console that the majority of our group has. That I'm going to try to keep the games reasonably priced, just in case everybody doesn't have it. That way we can go get it, and we'll play something that isn't from the NSO app. Because that was some of the feedback that I got from the survey that I put out, that not everybody wants to play just the games from the NSO app. They want to try some new things that they haven't played or haven't heard of before. So we're going to try to fill that need as well. But yeah, so every month I'll send out a questionnaire. Everyone will have a week to vote for their games. And then the first of every month we'll start the next game. And I'll try to keep it organized and nice and clean, and hand it out to everybody on time.
Yeah. And it's all going to be in the Discord. So if you get lost, or if you have any questions, you can always hit us up in the Discord and ask what's going on. Where's the link? What do I do? It should all be pretty well organized. John's an organized guy, which is why he's running it now.
We'll also make sure that, we're a weekly podcast, so we'll make sure we update, every week where we're at. If when the vote's coming up, what games are on there.
Yeah.
When we're going to, I just wanted to keep it easy for everybody, and we'll start the new game on the 1st. So it's always on the 1st. We don't have to guess on when we're going to start. But keep you guys posted.
Do you want to say the games that are in the running now? How long is the poll open for?
So yeah, the poll just went open today, so you'll have a whole week. So they'll come back down next Monday. The games that are on there right now are all from the Genesis collection on NSO. So you have Rystar, Toe Jam and Earl, and Dynamite Heady.
Mm-hmm.
So these three are all kind of colorful platformy type games. I tried to stick with I didn't want to throw like a super long RPG or boring. Some of the Genesis RPGs are not as palatable anymore.
Yeah,
as they once were, especially the ones that they're on NSO right now. Yeah, so these will be some good choices, some good fun games that some people haven't played. But those are it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, John. And then also, Sam, you have a blog post going live on Thursday. Why don't you give us a little sneak peek of what we have in store?
Yep, I mentioned this before. I think it was last week, but just something drawing attention to retro games on Steam in particular. PC generally, but really mostly focused on Steam because that's where the most stuff is. Because especially in light of the 3DS eShop closing and losing the Virtual Console, Steam has been there the whole time, and it's still there. So stuff that's there is still available. So I think that's worth drawing attention to for that reason.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. So that will go live Thursday, which is the 24th this week. So yeah, go check that out over at retrologic.games. And let's jump into our icebreaker too, guys. Sam, why don't you just keep on talking? Why don't you tell us what you bought, what you played this week?
Yeah, so speaking of the 3DS eShop, we had our episode on it, and these guys convinced me of some stuff I needed to get before it closes, before I can't add money to it anymore, or whatever. So I picked up Pocket Card Jockey and Crimson Shroud on the 3DS eShop. And since I just kind of like dropped, like $20 in there on my balance, I found some other stuff to pick up too with what was left. So I got Goemon for the game, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon for the Game Boy off the Virtual Console there, and Legend of the River King for the Game Boy Color. So yeah, pretty simple. Just digital purchases this week.
That was some thunder very close to my house, in case you were wondering what that huge boom was. So there, if you hear some of that, it's just a thunderstorm.
Hopefully we don't get cut out in the middle of the whole podcast.
Yeah. If I just disappear, then we'll know what happened.
We'll just keep going without being recorded.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, as for what I've been playing, it's more of the stuff I was playing last week. So I played more Triangle Strategy. I actually beat Triangle Strategy, which went at a pretty good clip there. I slowed down a lot toward the end because I kind of didn't want it to end, but it didn't end. There's a New Game Plus, and I'm playing that because Triangle Strategy is just that good.
Why not?
There's
pretty
4
amazing.
endings, so yeah.
The Octopath is again.
Yep, and I've also been playing F-Zero X. So I know there's a cheat code, but I don't cheat. I'm not a cheater. So I have been trying to unlock all the racers and tracks the old-fashioned way by winning. So I'm pretty far through that. I unlocked the Joker Cup. I actually beat the Joker Cup on Expert. Now I have to go back and beat the other ones on Expert. Because the way it works, like, I realized I was going to have to beat something on Expert before I would even unlock another row of racers. So I just started with Joker. And I actually had a much harder time going back to the Jack Cup on Expert because the tracks are so simple that it's like there's just a lot of straightaways. And on Expert, everybody else is just faster than you by default. So you can't really like when the track is mostly straight, you can't really outmaneuver them. It's just I don't know. It's
gonna be a tough one to do.
It does get kind of frustrating. F-Zero is an interesting case with this though, because the rubber banding, there's definite rubber banding where the guy who is supposed to be your rival is just gonna zoom into first after a certain set amount of time. But because there's more than one way to win in F-Zero GP, where you can try to just crash into the other guy to make him get 0 points. It just forces you to do that, and that's kind of a more fun way to play. So it did still get pretty frustrating because it's a very small window before you just basically can't catch him. But you always do have that chance in the first 10 seconds to just blow up your rival, and that always feels really good.
Nice.
So, I have been, like I said last week, I mean, I've been enjoying F-Zero a lot. For whatever reason, the Super Nintendo game didn't click with me, but F-Zero X has been a lot of fun. I actually do want to get GX now. I don't know too much about the Game Boy Advance game, but
there's 2 of them.
Yeah, there are 2 of them.
They're a little closer to the Super Nintendo game, just in terms of
that's what I assumed.
Visuals. Yeah, but GX is my favorite. GX is just bananas.
That's what I hear from. I mean, it's basically built on the ground of X, but just it looks prettier. It's a little bit more robust. So yeah, I mean, I have been convinced F-Zero is pretty great. It's a shame they don't make them anymore, especially because just in F-Zero, that not saying I have all that much confidence in Nintendo's online infrastructure, but an F-Zero game where you could actually race against 30 other players simultaneously would be amazing.
That'd be rad.
Now, the thing that baffles me about F-Zero is GX was the pinnacle. It was the best one.
Yeah.
And then it just quit. It just kept getting better and better and better, and then they just
quit while they were ahead.
Well, yeah, and it was a pretty hardcore gamers game. And I don't see a lot of Wii owners picking up an incredibly difficult sci-fi based racer.
I think the Wii could have killed it. I think you could be right. I think it has a really good place.
They made a Fire Emblem game for Wii.
Yeah, but it also didn't sell well. That's why it's so valuable now.
You're not wrong. Also, GX was done by
for Wii.
GX was done by Sega, so.
It was, yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe they just didn't like the sales numbers. Maybe they just didn't have any more. You know how Nintendo does that thing where they're like, well, we didn't have any ideas, so we didn't make it. It's well, yeah, but how about just a better version of what you already did?
I wish the Nintendo was more like McDonald's and they would just bring things back more often.
Yeah. People have brought up the idea of F-Zero 99, where it's basically just you have your courses.
That's the thing, though, is that an online multiplayer, I think, is enough to make F-Zero feel new. So,
just remaster GX and just give it
like I said, there's a really good market for that type of game nowadays.
Yeah, there is.
There's so many more gamers out there. And, I don't know about the majority, but there's a good chunk of people that just want to play a good, solid, difficult game.
Who knows, guys? We got a WarioWare game. We got an Advance Wars game. Who knows? We got a Mario Strikers coming.
We almost got an Advance Wars game.
Oh, gosh.
It's still coming.
Yeah, it's not here yet.
It's coming. It'll come. It'll come when it's ready. But I'm just saying, I think if it were going to happen, the Switch would be when it happens. The Switch just seems to be Nintendo's sort of being willing to revisit stuff because everything sells 1 million copies on the Switch now.
Yeah, it's if you put a first-party title out, it's guaranteed to be 1 million copies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a successful game.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Sam. John, you've got a bit of a shopping list here.
It's funny. Sam mentioned the 3DS eShop deal, and I can't remember, I think it's been about a week ago now, I put a countdown on my phone of when the eShops will stop taking credit card funds.
You did?
So that I'll know.
When is that?
And I've been slow. So
how much longer we got?
63 days.
Oh, okay. We're good then.
63 days as of the 21st of March.
Great.
So I've been slowly picking off a few games here and there, and I know that I have 63 days to do it conveniently without having to go on my Switch, add funds to my account, then go over there. Because generally whenever I buy a digital game on the eShops, I usually just pay for them by the balance that they are.
Right.
I don't add a $20, $50 credit. I just buy the game. So that's why I'm trying to get all the ones I can while I can still do it that way. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. I had put a countdown to remind myself.
That's good. We'll check every episode, and then we'll have a party when,
Right.
or a funeral maybe. Yeah.
So, this week I purchased Mario Golf N64 from Zach from the Discord. He posted a lot that he bought. I think it was like late last week or early last week of all those N64 games that he picked up, and I saw it's the only Mario Golf game I don't have. So I've been kind of eyeballing them, and they've been going up.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so I got a pretty good deal from him on that. I was at my local late last week, and they had a Zelda Ocarina of Time Gold Kart, the collector's edition. This is also... Well, it's almost the last. I just need the gold carts. For some reason, I don't have any of the gold carts. I don't have the NES Zelda or Zelda 2, and I didn't have Ocarina of Time. So now I've knocked out Ocarina of Time. I just need to find Zelda 1 and 2 in good shape and pick those up. And then I'll have every Nintendo console Zelda game and all their variants.
Bananas.
Yes. It's my collecting mind. I also picked up Kobe Bryant NBA Courtside.
I have that.
Yeah, I used to play this game all the time when it first came out.
I've never played it, but I have it because I got it in a lot.
Oh, it's good.
And then Kobe tragically passed away, and I was like, I'm going to hold on to this one.
Yeah, you might. It reminds me a lot more of, it's like a good mix between NBA Jam, like the arcadiness of NBA Jam, and an actual, like a 2K simulator basketball game.
Like a halfway point?
Yeah, it's like a good mix.
Okay, cool.
So I enjoyed it a whole lot growing up. And then I was at a flea market, and there was this booth that just had tons of Japanese Sega Genesis games, Super Famicom, Game Boy, regular Famicom.
They were all Japanese?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know where. Yeah, it was in Branson, Missouri, which is really oddball. Like, I didn't think I'd ever see any gaming stuff there. So I picked up Super Bomberman 3 for the Super Famicom, complete in box. Like, it's
nice.
Pretty nice. You could tell these games have been priced like forever ago. Like, the stickers were turning yellow on them.
So they were pretty cheap?
And, oh, yeah, he had like $10 on this game. It's an almost a $40 game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I also picked up Donkey Kong 3 for the Famicom, which is very expensive for the NES.
Yeah.
I picked up Last Bible 2 for the Game Boy. This is a Shin Megami Tensei game that was only in Japan. I purchased the Game Boy Kart because I plan on finding English translation later.
Is the first Last Bible the one that was released as Revelations the Demon Slayer?
I believe so. I think that was the remake of it, because I believe the original one was on Genesis, maybe, or Famicom, one or the other.
I have Revelation the
Mega
Demon
System.
Slayer for Game Boy Color. It's a black.
Yeah, I have it.
Game Boy game.
Yeah, I have it too. But anyway, Last Bible 2 is supposed to be like one of the better Game Boy RPGs, so I wanted to get the actual copy of it so I could get an English translation for it. They're out there. I also picked up G-Arms for Game Boy. This is a Gundam. It's kind of it's like an arena shooter for the Game Boy, but it's mechs. It's kind of weird. I played a little bit of it. You don't have to read too much. You can just kind of skip through the cutscenes and play the gameplay. It's pretty easy to tell what's going on. And that was the Japanese lot that I got. And I also got Days of Ruin on the DS.
Nice.
Came in the mail.
Wait, no, not Days of Ruin.
Or no, it wasn't Days of Ruin. It's
Dual Strike.
Dual Strike.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry. Nix that.
Days of Ruin's the weird one.
Days of Ruin is the one that I still need. That's the last one I'll need.
It's the most expensive one, I think.
They're not.
I mean,
Dual Strike and Days of Ruin are like $2 difference.
Yeah, they're not that.
Advance Wars 2 was the most expensive.
I mean, if you're going like
complete in box.
Yeah, and it's weird because Game Boy Advance complete in box is like a little like insane, and DS complete in box is like DS complete in box is like almost the same as the cartridge. So you got to kind of, be weird about the pricing there. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Days of Ruin is an awesome game. It's a great Advance Wars game. They messed with the art style and they made it more adult, whatever. It's still Advance Wars and I love it.
So Days of Ruin is the last one I need to pick up before the 1-2 reboot comes out. And then the last thing that I purchased, which I mentioned last week, but I actually got them swapped out and installed, is the Dragon Quest Joycon shells. And I did that. I think I had already installed the back plate on my Switch last week. But it looks brand new. Like it's totally changed my day one Switch.
Nice.
Which looked like a wore out turd. Because that thing's got so many hours on it.
Did yours have the grease stains on the back where your fingers rest?
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mine had that for a long time.
Yeah, all my Joy-Cons had them. Like I'd wore the plastic around the buttons like smooth, like it's a different color.
Gosh.
From playing with them.
I mean, I use a grip now so to avoid that, but my day one Switch had the grease stains on the back, the like finger splotchy. It's weird.
I'm still rocking the day one Switch.
Man, you guys are crazy with the day one. My day one,
docked,
listen,
so that probably helps.
My day one Switch had like a bulge in the back when I traded in. Okay, it was about to go out. That's beautiful. Yeah, it looks great.
It looks brand new now.
Yeah.
The screen looks brand new because it's had a screen protector on it since day one. No scratchies.
Yeah. Now that I have the what is that? The grease stains? Yeah. No, I'm happy with my OLED. Yeah,
so that was a little bit more. There's a lot more in a Joy-Con than what you think is in there.
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of hard.
When you open it up, it's not difficult, but man, they just like squeezed. It's a feat of engineering. Like they did a good job squeezing everything in a tiny package like that. And like I didn't follow the guide either because the guide's like, make sure you undo all the cables and pull everything apart individually before you put it back in there. And I was like, nah. Just started unscrewing everything. It looked like I pulled a squid out of there. And then just carefully started putting everything back in the new shell. And I just left everything, the shoulder buttons attached to the inside plastic piece because you can't see it. I didn't need to change that out,
You like
and just kind of put it all back in there.
John, you're like one of the people in the world I would trust to do that blind with no.
Yeah.
Like there's a few people that I would trust to do that, and you're one of them.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems. I mean, I threw it all back together and recalibrated, and my day one Joy-Cons that had drifted like a mug, like just felt like brand new again.
Nice.
So I don't know for how long. Supposedly even replacing them doesn't last.
Are those third-party sticks or Nintendo sticks?
No, they were third-party. I don't think you can buy the Nintendo ones.
Well, the third-party ones might be better than the Nintendo ones.
It could be. Yeah. I've heard that it's an issue with the contacts in there, but who knows? We'll just see. I don't play my day one Switch near as much as I used to since I got my OLED, so they ought to last me forever now.
Yeah, right.
As far as what I played, I had to download the day one patch for Triangle Strategy, and it was being kind of finicky. The eShop wasn't allowing it to update very quickly. So I started up Dicey Dungeons because it was on. I just bought it on sale. And that's like a wormhole, like a rabbit hole to hop down. Like, that's a very interesting game. Now I know what everybody was talking about when they were playing it like 3 or 4 months ago. And then I started up Borderlands, playing co-op with my son. This will be like the probably 4th or 5th time I've tried to play through the first Borderlands. I've made it pretty far a couple times. I've never finished it, so I'm going to see if playing co-op will make it a little bit easier of an experience and try to finish it this time. And then last but not least, I tried out this game called Glory Hunters for the Game Boy. It's going to be released on cartridge.
Glory what?
But Glory Hunters.
Glory Hunters, okay.
It's a new Game Boy release.
Oh,
And,
cool.
They have a demo on their website that you can play using a keyboard. And I played, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 minutes of it. It's kind of an interesting concept for a RPG. Instead of gaining experience by killing monsters, you gain experience by doing like the random tasks of an RPG. So like if you cut down so many bushes, you get what's called a glory point or whatever. And you have to, in order to unlock certain areas of the map, you have to have so many points. Like even to just go in the shop to buy items, you have to have so many points to unlock the shop. So just random tasks, talking to NPCs, doing the quests will give you the points. So it's a little bit different, but it's pretty neat. It reminds me a lot of like it looks like a Link's Awakening type sprites and everything. So it's pretty cool. I just thought it randomly popped up on Nintendo Life, so I checked it out. But that's basically what I've been playing. Hopefully we'll start up Triangle Strategy here shortly.
Yes.
I forgot to mention, but my collector's edition did come in, and it's super nice.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
It's amazing.
I want that thing so bad now. Why didn't they bring it out in America?
I don't know, because Octopath supposedly did really well in America.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't bring the collector's edition this way.
It's just a bummer, dude.
But it has like steel dice, and I didn't get the collector cards like you did from GameStop or whatever, but it has a whole deck of playing cards that has all the characters
so cool
on them. It's nice.
So cool. Want it.
And
yep.
the collector's editions that we usually get in the States don't come with the actual game case. Like usually you just get the steelbook and that's it. Kind of like with Metroid.
Yeah, Dread just had a steelbook.
Yeah, Dread just has a steelbook, so I don't even have the actual game case for Metroid Dread.
Sticks out like a sore thumb in my Switch games.
So that was the first thing I noticed, and I was super stoked about, was I pulled the steelbook out, and right underneath it is the game case with the game in it. And since the game came inside of the collector's edition and all the PEGI information is on the outside of the box, the game case is super clean and doesn't have all that on it.
Oh,
just
nice.
has the artwork. Yeah, it's super nice.
Beautiful.
All right.
Love it. Do an unboxing video. Anyway, so this week I picked up... So I had Starfox Zero for the Wii U, but for some reason my copy... I don't know where I got it. I think I got it for with a lot of stuff when I randomly rebought my Wii U. My copy of Starfox Zero did not have Guard, which is one of the only Star Fox games. I think now I own every Star Fox game that's been available in North America. That's not like a championship cartridge that I'm never going to see in my life. So now I own Star Fox Zero / Guard complete in box in the cardboard box and everything, which is a very cheap thing to buy.
It's like $10.
Yeah, because Nintendo overprinted that game, and now everybody has sealed copies for $20 on eBay. So I think I got mine for $15.
I wish you would have said something. I would have just gave you one. I have two.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thank you. It's fine.
Didn't say anything.
Yeah, we'll do it for a Free Stuff Friday.
Yeah,
I'll leave my opinions about Star Fox Guard out of this conversation, but I'm happy to own that now, so that's cool. This week I didn't play very much. It was kind of a crazy week. It was our spring break, and the day of spring break, my daughter comes home vomiting and diarrhea, and then 2 days later she's better, but now my oldest has vomiting and diarrhea, and then 2 days later my youngest has vomiting and diarrhea. So we pretty much spent all of spring break inside with all the kids vomiting and diarrhea everywhere. So
the carousel.
So there wasn't a lot of game playing being done outside of just Triangle Strategy. But what we did do was we did play the new tracks in Mario Kart, which my 6-year-old is obsessed with Mario Kart right now, which I'm okay with. Totally fine with that. Love it. We played tons of Mario Kart. And so when he found out there were new tracks, he was super hype about it. They finally came. And we actually had a problem. I fired up Mario Kart, and then like it said like, oh, you need a subscription to do this, and I'm like, well, I have one. What am I doing wrong here? And I had to look up what to do, and you actually have to go to the eShop and like download something.
Tracks,
I guess. Like, why isn't that just part of an update?
The past thing. I don't know. I think it did that.
You already have to download
too.
them just to play online. So yeah, it's weird.
I was really.
I did get to play those too.
Like literally, we sat there for 20 minutes, and I thought, and I was like, it's broken. Like we can't play it. I don't know what's wrong. And then I had to like,
it's Nintendo.
Google around. Yeah, but they're usually more streamlined with stuff like that. That's not a typical Nintendo thing. I should just
make it more difficult.
Been able to play. It should have just been a game update. Anyway, maybe they didn't want people like getting around the NSO thing.
Now, the interesting thing is that if you have a friend who has the expansion pack or who has bought the tracks, you can, if they create a lobby, you can race on those tracks together.
That's right.
Without you having to buy them yourself.
That's really cool. Glad they did that. We love them. We love the new tracks. Ninja Hideout is impossible, but other than that, we had a great time. That's it. That's all for me this week. Let's go and play some Prices Retro, guys. So I wrote a new script for myself for the opening of Price is Retro. We'll see how it goes. Ready? If this is your first time playing the Price is Retro, this is how we play. I'm going to list off 4 to 5 games, and everyone else has to guess how much the games are worth in total. Whoever's guess is the closest wins that round, and the next person lists off their games. Everyone brought a list of games, and everyone guesses on each other's lists. At the end of the game, whoever won the most rounds wins the game. But look out for Poltergeist. He guesses 300 on each list, and if he wins the game, I have to give away a sticker from the merch store. How'd that go?
Sounds good.
All right.
But I already broke the rules because I brought 6 games.
Gah! We'll let it slide this time. We'll let it slide for you. But
I brought 5.
I brought 4, so there we go. Hit the whole spectrum. And actually, I'm going to go first this time because I never get to do that, and I want to. Okay, so today is the 21st anniversary of the Game Boy Advance, released March 21st, 2001 in Japan. So all of these are just some Game Boy Advance games that I like that I never get to talk about. So the first one is Earthworm Jim 2 for the Game Boy Advance, loose. Gunstar Superheroes for the Game Boy Advance, loose. Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hands, Game Boy Advance, loose. And DK King of Swing for the Game Boy Advance, loose.
What was that second one?
I'll go through them again. I have Earthworm Jim 2, Gunstar Superheroes, Boktai, and DK King of Swing. All Game Boy Advance.
All loose?
All loose, yep. Because I'm
first, Sam,
because I'm nice like that. Whoever wants to go first.
I can go first. I'm just adding mentally. I'm gonna say 175.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna say 425.
Wow, all over the place here. So, actual retail price is $229.45.
Oh man.
We'll do our.
I take that round.
You did. Sam won one.
Just ahead of the Ghost. I had to think for a second there.
Thank God.
Yeah, you said 175, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
For the Ghost one.
No, 229.
I'm off by 229.
No.
So I'm
You're
off
right,
by
yeah.
54. The Ghost is off by 71.
70.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Earthworm Jim 2 is 35.52. Gunstar Superheroes is 59.81. Boktai is 113.25. That's a game that needs some kind of re-release somewhere because it's so
that
good.
game has come down.
The solar sensor might be a little bit tricky to just do on like
They could make it to where you have to like tap a button or something.
Yeah, they could figure it out.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same.
But I mean, that's a problem with a lot of.
Now the second game, it is like a $200 cartridge. But the first
one used to be a lot more expensive too.
Yeah, I don't know. DK King of Swing is a whopping $20.87. Love that game. But yeah, congrats, Sam. You won that round. So let's go on to the next one, which is going to be Sam.
Okay. I have a lot of 5 games. These are actually all going to be complete. I'm usually the one throwing loose stuff out there.
Yeah, I went loosey-goosey this round.
They're all complete. Hopefully I haven't used this theme before. I know I've used the first game on this list before, which is Wario Blast for the Game Boy. Complete in box. Followed by Bomberman Hardball for the PlayStation 2. This is a PAL release.
Is it a baseball game?
Yes, PAL PlayStation 2 Bomberman Hardball.
And it's Bomberman playing
Bomberman
baseball?
Sports game, yes. It also includes basically regular Bomberman, but also Bomberman doing like sports mini games.
I kind of need that in my life.
Yeah.
Like I said, PAL and Japan only. So this is the PAL version. PlayStation 2, complete in box. Bomberman Fantasy Race for the PlayStation, complete in box.
I do love me some Bomberman Fantasy Race.
Bomberman Wars, Japan only for the Sega Saturn, complete in box.
Oh my goodness.
And Blaster Master Boy, which despite the title is basically a Bomberman game. Although it features Blaster Master characters and was made in cooperation with Sunsoft.
Oh, that's cool.
For the Game Boy, complete in box.
Is that a North American game?
It's like the Blaster Master equivalent of Wario Blast.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Is that a North American game?
Blaster Master Boy, yes.
Really? Wow. These are all complete in box. So, wow. Okay. Cool. Okay, so my price is $630.
I was gonna say $650.
All right.
$630, $650. Dan edges it out. The total is $537 and 26 cents.
Oh man,
You're both high.
whew.
So Bomberman Hardball, PAL PlayStation 2 complete, $5, 1 cent.
What?
Wario Blast for the Game Boy complete, $96, 61 cents. Bomberman Fantasy Race for the PlayStation complete, $75. Bomberman Wars for the Sega Saturn, Japan only, complete, $9, 7 cents.
Oh my gosh.
And Blaster Master Boy for the Game Boy, complete in box, $351.57.
I don't know how I got
thinking-
that close because everything I
was
said
thinking
was wrong.
that I was thinking that Hardball game is going to be worth more than that.
Nope. It's PS2. Those are everywhere.
Yeah, but it was Europe only, so I figured.
Europe and Japan.
Or in Japan. Okay, yeah.
But just not in North America. for
Blaster
whatever
Master
reason.
Boy or Blaster Master Junior
Blaster Master Boy.
is also something. Maybe it was
So-
Junior in Japan. Yeah.
Might be.
Boy, that's some thunder there.
I heard that one for sure.
Oh.
Yeah. It's only. I have to go catch stuff off my wall again.
Yeah, I've never seen this in my life. Blaster Master Boy. I kind of want to play this. Is this on? This wouldn't be on the 3DS, probably.
I don't think the Blaster
yeah.
Master Game Boy game is Blaster Master 2, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Not
it's
that
not.
enemy below. But
All right.
I don't think this is.
Well, that's a thing.
So
Amazing.
this next round, one of you guys will win unless the ghost takes it and you guys all tie.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because I'm out.
let's do it.
All right. The first game on my list is Rystar for the Sega Genesis, complete in box, cardboard box version.
Ah, you son of a. All right.
Second game is Rystar for the Game Gear, complete in box. The third game is Toe Jam and Earl for the Sega Genesis, complete in box. The fourth game is Toe Jam and Earl 3 for the Xbox Complete in Box. The fifth game is Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Genesis Complete in Box. And the sixth game is Dynamite Headdy for the Game Gear Complete in Box.
Oh, Game Gear.
2 Game Gear games on
I don't think I knew that was on the Game Gear.
Yep, Rise Star and Dynamite Headdy both got Game Gear ports.
Yeah, but not Toe Jam and Earls. What does that tell you? All right, 2
developer maybe?
I'm going to say $350.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. I've said my piece. I have to
300. I'm going to say 325.
Sam, you went the wrong direction.
Total
is 512.53.
Whoa.
Wow.
Completely
off. Is it the cardboard box?
It's got to be. It's got to be the damn cardboard box.
Cardboard box got you guys. So Rise Star for the Sega Genesis Complete in Cardboard Box is $207.20.
Bro.
Rise Star for the Game Gear Complete in Box is $112. Toe Jam and Earl for the Sega Genesis Complete in Box is $60 and 82 cents. Toe Jam and Earl 3 for the Xbox Complete in Box is $29.08. Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Genesis Complete in Box, $70. And Dynamite Headdy for the Game Gear Complete in Box is $33.43. So yeah, that cardboard box, it got you.
I was pretty close on all of these, except for the cardboard box, which I was severely under.
I was still kind of low on a few of them.
So Rise Star... So actually, the cardboard box is the cheaper version. If I would have went with the plastic clamshell case, is $242.27.
Rise Star, is that expensive?
Yeah, for a complete in box. It's only $65 if you want to lose.
Usually
that's weird.
The box for Genesis isn't worth that much.
Which is funny because for some reason the loose price for the cardboard version is $144. How would you know if it came in a cardboard box?
Doesn't. Maybe that's like the players. Oh, you know what? There was a cardboard box player's choice selection of games later on in the Genesis life cycle. Maybe that's what it is. It has like the yellow border around it.
See if they have a picture. Nope, they don't differentiate.
Let's see what we got here. Oh no, cardboard box looks the same. Yeah, this one's going for $190. The cartridges on eBay are not cheap. The cartridges on eBay start at $100. Here's one for $70. So buy that one.
Or just play it on the Switch.
Yeah. Here's a 3D printed Rise Star figure for $75. That's not worth it at all. Awesome. So I think I won. Thank you guys for playing. I'm back on top after a losing streak. I've been on a losing streak lately, but I'm back at it again. Great. So what else do we have? I didn't get any community lists this week, I don't think. Nope. No, I did. Of course, Ambassador hits us with a games described horribly, which we're going to do right now. You guys ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Game number 1. Oh, the theme is Found at Chuck E. Cheese, 1989 to 2001. Okay. My gosh. Okay, here's game 1. Bill Clinton is a selectable player with the right 3-letter code.
NBA Jam.
I don't know that one, but I'm going to take your word for it.
It is.
NBA Jam.
Game 2. I almost killed 3 people getting a pastor to KFC. Crazy Taxi? Gotta be Crazy Taxi.
Has to be, right?
I think KFC is in Crazy Taxi too, so there's some licensing in there, but you definitely drive a pastor around. Game 3.
Crazy.
The creator of All Dogs Go to Heaven created an impossibly hard game. Creator of All Dogs Go to Heaven.
What's his name? Is it Blythe or?
No, what's the game?
I'm trying to think.
The Dragon something? What's the one with the animated guy? Dragon something?
Dragon Slayer?
Dragon's Lair?
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
Is it Dragon's Lair?
Well, it could be Dragon's Lair, Space Ace. He did a bunch of them. That's the same artist.
I bet it's his most...
I think Dragon's Lair is kind of notorious for being nearly impossible.
Yeah.
I think they're both like pretty close to the same game, honestly.
Yeah, it's just one's in space, one's they're
almost identical.
Right.
But yeah, I think the guy's name's John Bluth, but I can't remember.
Well, we'll look it up if we're right. Or you could look it up now. Game 4. You can throw non-digital world events at a guy breakdancing on his lawn. Paperboy?
Paperboy.
Non-digital world events?
Yes.
Oh my
Paperboy.
gosh.
It's because nobody reads a newspaper anymore.
I know. He had to make it described horribly somehow. Game 5. A reality show where you shoot soldiers and win cash and toasters. That's Smash TV.
Yep.
Yeah. And number 6. A four-wall structure filled with creatures who do not have a healthy brain scan.
Area 51 or Resident Evil? Or House of the Dead.
House of the Dead? What's the four-wall structure? House.
House. Yep.
Yeah.
House of the
He's
Dead.
being tricky.
Let me
with
just
the
list
words.
off all the arcade shooters with zombies.
I know, right? It's got to be House of the Dead. All right, so the first one, John said is NBA Jam, and the answer is NBA Jam. Game 2 was Crazy Taxi. We thought it was Crazy Taxi with the KFC. And indeed it is Crazy Taxi. Game number 3 is a creator of All Dogs Go to Heaven, which is, we thought it was Dragon's Lair. And the answer is Dragon's Lair. Game number 4, you can throw non-digital world events at a guy breakdancing on his lawn. We guessed Paperboy, and the answer is Paperboy. Game 5, a reality show where you shoot soldiers and win cash and toasters. We thought Smash TV, and the answer is Smash TV. Game 6, did we go 6 for 6? That's my question. I think we did. A four-wall structure filled with creatures who do not have a healthy brain scan. House of the Dead. And the answer is House of the Dead. We got it.
So, I was close. It's Don Bluth.
John Bluth, I think, is an actor, maybe?
Who knows?
Or something?
It's one of those deals. I do it all the time. If it rhymes, like I'm usually wrong, but I'm close.
Good game, guys. I always love when the ambassador throws those in because they are super fun. That's the only community submitted game we have. I have a Retropedia for you guys. I've got 3 of them. Again, we went easy, medium, and hard. Last week, John destroyed my hard game. So I went differently this week. Here is the easy game. Just yell it out when you think you know it. Blank is a 1994 platform video game developed and published by Sega. The sequel to Blank, players control blank and blank in their quest to save Angel Island.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2? No.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Nope. Blank.
After you said Angel Island, I knew that's not it.
Blank tries to prevent that's going to give it away. Blank from relaunching his orbital weapon, the Death Egg. Well,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, it is a Sonic the Hedgehog
3?
Nope.
Sonic and Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles.
There we go.
Had to go through them. If I had kept going, you would have gotten it. But yeah, I couldn't say Sonic,
well,
Knuckles.
You just said blank and blank.
Oh yeah.
I was like, Sonic and Tails?
I couldn't say Sonic, Knuckles, or Dr. Robotnik, so I just kept saying blank and blank and blank. All right, good one, guys. All right, next game. This one's medium. We'll see if you guys get this one. If you've played this one, I think Sam might know this one. Blank is an action role-playing video game developed by Level 5 and published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PlayStation 2. Originally intended as a launch title for the system in March 2000. The game was eventually released in Japan in December 2000, in North America in May 2001, and in Europe in September 2001, blah, blah, blah. A spiritual successor, Dark Chronicle, was released in Japan in 2002 and worldwide the following year. Uniquely combining the mechanism of action role-playing games with elements of city-building games, Blank tells the story of a group of adventurers who band together to fight against the Dark Genie who has attacked and destroyed many villages. Any guesses so far?
Is this Red Cloud?
Red Cloud?
I don't know. Dark Cloud.
Dark Cloud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dark Cloud it is. I thought the city building
came from.
I thought the city building would.
I've never played it, so
No?
I'm like, I don't know.
I didn't know that Level 5 did Dark Cloud.
Yep.
That's what was throwing me off. I was like, man, what Level 5 game was early PlayStation?
Dark Cloud is one of the few PS2 games that I have played and enjoyed.
Which is
Just
very
need
rare.
to find some more PS2 games.
There's
a lot of them.
Cloud 1 and 2.
I feel like the ones that I would like are very expensive, so that's a problem for me. All right, here's our hard one. Maybe this one is easier than the last one because I thought you guys would get that one, but apparently not. Here we go. Last one. Blank, known in Japan as Dew Prism, is a 1999 action platform video game developed and published by Square for the PlayStation console. The game was released in Japan on October 14th, 1999, North America, blah, 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 blah. More details. Blank revolves around two characters, Rue and Mint, and their quest for mystical object known only as the Relic. It has the power to profoundly alter their lives. The game received favorable reviews and was re-released as part of Square Enix's Legendary Hits label. Any guesses?
Not.
Nope. Nothing? No? Should I keep going?
Yeah.
What was the name you said at the beginning?
In Japan, it's known as Dew Prism. And this calls it an action platform video game, but I wouldn't be mad at you for thinking it was an RPG because it was published by Square. Gameplay. Players choose from two different characters to control, each with a different story. The game environments are built in polygonal 3D and with a jump button and two action buttons, which can trigger actions like up or down, sword slash, blah, 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 blah. Nothing? All right, okay, I stumped you guys for the first time. Okay, this game is Threads of Fate for the PS1.
Yeah.
Familiar?
I would not have got that.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
Really? Okay. All right.
I have no familiarity with it.
It's a bit obscure, but
I've heard the title before, that's it.
okay. Yeah, it's a bit more obscure.
Look it up.
I wasn't sure if you guys would know it or not, but that was the hard one. Finally stumped you guys. I went hard enough where it was like an obscure enough game. I wonder if anybody at home got it. If you were listening and you got it like right away, you heard Dew Prism and you were like, "Oh, I know what that is." Then at me on Twitter at RetroLogic Games and let me know because I want to know who knew that one. That is all I have for this show. John, do you have a trivia card for us this week?
I do.
Let's do it.
Pull one right off the top here. Battlefield 5 is a game based on which war?
World War V.
No.
No.
Battlefield 5?
I don't.
What system is that for? So Battlefield 1 was...
Battlefield
That was
5,
World War One,
One.
right? They went backwards.
So is Battlefield 5 World War II?
No. It can't be that easy.
It is.
It might be that easy.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It is. I was gonna wait and see where Stan was gonna go.
Battlefield 1942 was based on World War II. That's
It
the
was.
one I played.
That was like one of the first ones though.
The OG, pretty much.
Yeah. Video games can't get away from World War II, even in the same line.
Well, Battlefield 4 was still Modern Warfare, or like today.
But there was Battlefield 1, yeah.
Battlefield 1 was World War 1, and then I guess 5, they didn't want to say Battlefield 2 because that already exists.
Battlefield 1, 2?
1, 2, yeah. So, all right. Well, Dan got that one.
Yep.
So,
total shot in the dark.
In which Lord of the Rings based video game do you play as Talion, the Ranger of Gondor, responsible for guarding the Black Gate of Mordor?
Oh, that's probably Shadow of Mordor.
It is Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah. Which doesn't have Lord of the Rings in the title for reasons. It's weird because my thought process there, issues with Tolkien's estate. They didn't actually want them using the Lord of the Rings name.
Nice. I didn't know.
So it's like only very loosely connected to the official lore, and that's why I knew that, because I'm like, oh, that's not a Lord of the Rings character. He must have been made up for the game, so it's probably Shadow of Mordor.
Wow.
That it is.
I learned something tonight.
Those ones are a little bit more difficult than what they normally are.
Yeah.
What color is Mario?
What color are Sonic's shoes? Like those?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, guys, let's jump into our show topic. Thanks for playing Price is Retro. And if you're listening at home and you want to submit a list to us or another game, feel free to do so. You can hit me up on Twitter and I'll give you instructions. Or you can hit me up in the Discord and just DM me and just tell me you want to submit a game or a list, and we can make that happen. I'll give you instructions. That being said, let's jump into our show topic. Thanks for listening to the show. We're back with the show topic, and our show topic this week is 2022 is the year of tactics, because a lot of tactics games are coming out this year. Seemingly all unrelated, but also kind of just strange that this is the year that they're all deciding to come out. So just to kind of start us off, the games that are coming out this year, and there's probably more than this, but this is just what was like immediately like available.
I know you're missing one. I'm trying to find it real quick.
Okay. We've got Advance Wars Reboot Camp, which recently was delayed again. This time they told us it was because they thought it was inappropriate to release a game about war during wartime. Which I agree with them. But also, maybe that means we'll get some fancy upgrades somehow. They'll like spend some more development time on it since they have the time. Triangle Strategy, which we're currently playing. Mario vs. Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is coming later this year. Metal Slug Tactics, which we actually haven't seen that much of. I think we had one trailer during something. I don't even remember where we saw the trailer from. But I love Metal Slugs. I love Metal Slug. I love tactics. This is a dream come true for me. Sam's pick here, Front Mission First, which is a remake of the first Front Mission game, which was originally on Super Famicom, I want to say.
Yep.
It's
been remade a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm actually much more excited for the second game to get remade.
Yeah, that's right. They're doing both, aren't they?
Yeah, but the second one probably won't be out this year.
No. And I actually played this when it was remade for the DS and really, really enjoyed it very, very much. So I'm really looking forward to that. Definitely going to pick that one up. And then Dune Spice Wars, which is a real-time strategy game based on the world of Dune. Seems pretty cool. Might scratch that StarCraft itch that's been absent for 11 years or so whenever they stopped making updates for it. 9 years.
There's also Marvel Midnight Suns coming out, which is like a deck builder / tactics game. It was actually supposed to be out by now, I think. They originally had it for spring, and it got delayed. Yeah.
So
someone else brought that up. It's a deck builder and tactics, like grid-based tactics with a deck.
That's what it seems to be. Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
One of the ones we're missing from the list is the Diofield Chronicle. which is another Square Enix Tactics game that's coming out. It's a fully 3D with fantasy aesthetic.
That's the sound of me looking it up.
There was a new trailer for that at the PlayStation event, right?
And then also, Sam, hopefully we get this in the US, but they're re-releasing Nights of the Nightmare on the Switch.
That's right. Yeah. That's supposed to be out next month.
Okay, cinematic trailer. Oh, here we go. Tactics. Ooh, it's kind of like a mix of real-time and turn-based a little bit. Because you see everybody's kind of moving at the same time on the battlefield a little bit there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be more like Tactics Ogre than it is like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, it looks very different than Final Fantasy Tactics. It's very much in the vein of something like, gosh, I don't even know, because it's more. It appears to be more real time. They only show like 1 second of gameplay in this whole video, and it's right here. And you see, I'm just gonna kind of break it down here because I'm interested now. People are all moving at the same time, and it looks like you're kind of giving commands, and then everybody moves at the same time. So it's almost like a combination of real time and turn based, which I don't mind that. I think that's really cool. Kind of like if Grandia 2 had a giant battlefield instead of just little tiny battlefield. Dio Field Chronicle looks neat. Is that coming to Switch? Probably not.
It might. It definitely looks like something the Switch could handle.
Does it?
It doesn't look
too
crazy.
Looks a little too. I don't know. Maybe we're just watching it on the PS5. They'll dumb it down for the Switch. That'd be cool. What else?
Sam was saying, Nights of the Nightmare comes out April 7th, but for right now, it's only Japan.
Oh, bummer.
Yep, we still have the DS game at least. I need to play the DS game. I didn't get very far in it.
Okay, cool.
It's a pretty neat game.
Yeah, very one of a kind. A little bit too convoluted, but well, I mean, it's just like they just layered so many different mechanics at once. There's like a whole chaos order toggle, and like every thing's abilities are completely different based on which one you have. And also your player character is your cursor. You control a wisp that moves around, and it's actually also a bullet hell game.
That kind of that one little detail.
Your cursor gets hit by enemy attacks, and you have to like physically move it around the menu to make commands, and it gets hit by things, and that's actually how you lose.
Goodness.
Is by running out of time, which runs down faster when you get hit.
That's like Undertale. Yeah. That's like Undertale's battle system, where you're like a little heart and like don't get hit by the thing. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so 2022, we have a lot of tactics games coming out, and tactics games usually are pretty long experiences. In fact, Triangle Strategy, when I looked up the how long to beat, it was hovering around, I think I want to say like 28 hours, 30 hours. But even that game like begs you to play it multiple times practically, because like again, we were talking about earlier, it's got 4 different endings, and like the story changes as you play. It it deserves to be played multiple times.
Surprisingly short for like what it is. Like I figured it'd be longer than that.
Yeah.
It's like Fire Emblem 3 Houses is like a 50 to 60 hour game, and they expect you to play that 4 times.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and also this thing about Final Fantasy Tactics too, is that there's at least a Tactics Advance. There's probably there's hundreds of battles in that game. Because there's a ton of side quests, and there's just random NPCs and enemies walking around the map, and if you interact with it, usually it's a battle, and the battle can last up to like 30 minutes in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. So it and Triangle Strategy is very linear compared to that.
Well, I was gonna say too, that's the play straight through. That's not the completionist.
Yeah, for sure.
Howard.
There are a little bit of side questing, and like you go to your encampment and you can do the like training missions and stuff like that.
One of the reasons I think we are seeing a resurgence of sorts of these games is because they have gotten a little bit quicker paced. Almost every one of these games has a fast forward button
right
now. I mean, Triangle Strategy does it. You hold down R, you speed through combat animations and the like. And I do find that incredibly helpful. And I'll admit that I actually find some of the older games hard to go back. Like, I tried to play through Final Fantasy Tactics A2 a second time a couple of years ago. And I was like, this is just too sluggish. Like, just getting through the menus and just playing through a battle takes
advances
a long time.
Yeah, the FFT games need to be updated. I wouldn't mind a a remaster of those games at all. Any of them, honestly, with some new mechanics. I mean, they did it for Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, they added mechanics to it to make it more palatable.
I'll have to give some feedback, but I mean, they did re-release Final Fantasy Tactics on the PSP, so I don't know if they actually like made some quality of life improvements.
Do you own it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
I also have a Tactics Ogre on PSP as well. It was a re-release. I haven't got to play them yet.
Give that a go and let me know, because I know that's a kind of remastered version of the first FFT on PS1. I want to say, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which Game Boy Advance one is a remaster of that as well. So.
No.
Isn't it?
No, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is a totally different story, totally different animal.
I thought it was a reboot of the.
It's kind of a reboot of the series, because FFT is like, oh, we're in wherever Final Fantasy takes place and these events are happening, and FFT starts out as like present day, and then you get into a snowball fight, and then one of your friends gets hit, and then a portal opens up and you jump into Final Fantasy world, and now it's totally different. So it's a little crazy.
Yeah, it's not like a direct sequel, but it's definitely off the original.
Yeah, it's certainly some kind of like a reboot, reimagining of the games, which and that's the one that I played first, honestly. And that game is one of the reasons why I love tactics games today, because it's so engrossing and so malleable. You could, yeah, I love it. Yeah, so we're gonna have to find a lot of time this year to play through these games.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I found kind of interesting, just thinking through a rough timeline of like tactics games, is, you know, you had a very early era, like the Super Famicom games, most of which didn't release outside Japan. Games like Fire Emblem, games like Front Mission, just didn't release outside of Japan. Partly because they were games that had a lot of text. But also, you know, even just RPGs didn't make it outside Japan a lot of the time then.
Yeah.
So there was just an assumption that without the familiarity of it, the international audience wouldn't like these all that much. But you had kind of a golden age with like Final Fantasy Tactics. I think the PS1 had a lot of these starting to get mainstream appeal. And then as you moved into like 3D gaming, they kind of moved to the background, moved to the handhelds mostly.
Yeah, and I think that was a good move for them, because handhelds by nature are like, I can shut my GBA halfway through a FFTA battle and pick it up later. Even though it's a 30-minute battle, I can split it into two, whereas your PS1, you're kind of limited to your screen time, you know? And so I think going portable was honestly the best thing for a tactics, that kind of tactics game.
Well, it's funny because kind of what Sam was saying, like, localization's a big reason like why we didn't get, not even just because of the time it takes, but like localizing to English takes up a lot more space on a cartridge, even, because, you know, what you can put in print in Japanese takes up a quarter of the space of what it takes to fully write out in English.
Oh, you're right.
Because your characters, you know, are not just a letter. It's like they're.
Well, it's
just moving
actually
stuff
interesting as I've gotten into imports a little bit, though. When you look at like the Famicom games as opposed to Super Famicom games, because of memory restrictions, Famicom games would often use the hiragana to spell things out, because then you had a pretty limited number of characters you had to actually code in to the font. Whereas once you got to Super Famicom, they'd actually start using kanji because they could. Because that's more the way Japanese is typically written. It just, there are so many more characters that you'd have to actually have a font for.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, no,
Just
English
side note.
is huge. Takes a lot of space to localize.
But yeah, I mean, it can take up a lot of just getting everything to display correctly. And that's something I've noticed, like with translation patches, is sometimes not everything looks right. I noticed with like Front Mission Gun Hazard that a lot of my after applying the English patch, I had a lot of letters that were spaced weird in one section of the game, or letters that got duplicated just because of oddities, and maybe I didn't do my due diligence in applying the patch correctly. I don't know. But aside from that, I find it very interesting that I can kind of pinpoint around 2007, 2008, the tactics genre kind of died for about 4 years. And I just find it weird that it all went... So the year 2007, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn comes out on the Wii. The next Fire Emblem game would be pretty much the start of the resurgence, Fire Emblem Awakening.
Can I pause you real quick to bring up that was around the time that World of Warcraft came out, which was much later than Warcraft 3, and there were no real-time strategy games coming out of Blizzard.
Real-time strategy.
Until StarCraft 2 in 2011 or something.
So 2008 was actually a pretty big year for tactics games anyway, though, because Advance Wars Days of Ruin came out in 2008, and Final Fantasy Tactics A2 came out in 2008. And both of those ended their series. So it's interesting, because with those games, my understanding is they did reasonably well. The fans of those series like them, although Days of Ruin had some blowback for changing the art style.
A few of my very limited number of DS games.
But yeah, it's like 2008, we just, like, two of the biggest like turn-based strategy game series just ended.
Yeah. And
there was like nothing, pretty much. Like, there's a couple came out, but it was mostly remakes, like PSP remakes and stuff. Yep. And it was definitely not stuff that was like going to get a lot of press. It definitely fell into, I mean, it was already a little bit of a niche genre, because it was mostly on the handhelds, not on the home consoles, which get more attention. But just completely fell off. And I would say two games really started the turnaround. One of those being Fire Emblem Awakening, released in 2013. The other being XCOM, Enemy Unknown, in 2012.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it really started something on PC.
Well, in 2011,
saw a lot of imitators.
2011 was StarCraft 2 also, which everyone was hyped for, especially me.
And it's also very interesting, the original E3 reveal trailer of XCOM Enemy Unknown almost seemed to be advertising itself as something other than a turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, made it look more like a shooter.
Yeah, they kind of made it look like a shooter or an action game. Like you could watch that trailer and think it was a third-person shooter. So that's very, like, they were almost embarrassed to be, which is, it's all the more strange because it was still advertising itself as from the makers of Civilization. But yeah, it really does kind of show how that was a different moment in time when you couldn't just assume people wanted this kind of game, or at least they didn't want to assume people wanted this kind of game. I mean, it wound up doing well.
Wow. kind of crazy how because tactics strategy games and even not RTS games necessarily, well maybe so, I think the whole idea of that kind of game is pretty niche, or it was for a long time. I still prefer it to just a normal JRPG. Like it's much more engaging for me. You know, I just find it to be a lot more of an interesting way of, and even JRPGs that lean towards more of an AoE attack style battle system, like I prefer those, like Grandia 2, like I always bring up. But yeah, it's just interesting, like who is playing these games and why, you know what I mean? Like who's playing them? What kind of people play these games?
I mean, fundamentally, I would make an argument that most of what we call RPGs, especially JRPGs, the turn-based RPGs, are functionally strategy games. They're a certain class of strategy game.
Yeah.
That just depends how you... I mean, I would say like the most fundamental distinction in game genres is between action, strategy, and maybe make a third category for casual based on like where the challenge is. Mm-hmm. So casual would be there just isn't a challenge really. It's not about challenge.
Yeah.
Like a junior.
But action being it's about reflexes, it's about, you know, responding quickly, and strategy being it's about responding smart.
Methodically,
you know?
Right.
But you know, it's really, you know, are you comparing them to RPGs, or are you comparing, say, tactics as opposed to a strategy type game, something more like Civilization, say, where it's less about positioning units and more about gathering resources and using resources effectively.
Yeah, I guess it is. There is a distinction.
So it kind of straddles both those areas in some ways.
And that's cool.
I mean, generally we call them tactics games because Final Fantasy slapped tactics onto their franchise and spun it off into a slightly unique thing that still was recognizably Final Fantasy. And then we saw other, you know, like Tactics Ogre do a similar thing. So, I mean, it's kind of a loose definition anyway.
One of the things that I love to see is when things get a little, is when games when strategy style games get weird, I guess is the way I'm going to say it. Triangle strategy is very sort of typical tactics RPG, as I would say. Like there is some uniqueness there, like the whole conviction system is very cool, but the gameplay itself is very typical RPG, tactics RPG. So for me, when Advance Wars came on the scene, and what Advance Wars did basically was took what you're normally thinking about in a real-time strategy game, which most of the time has to do with both resource management and defense, and you're kind of thinking about 4 or 5 different things at the same time, because it's not just about, because your path to victory requires you to know the economics of where you are, the layout of the battlefield, the terrain information, and like what units to produce in order to get that outcome. Whereas a tactics RPG is just set, like here are your units, do the thing. And Advance Wars took StarCraft and Warcraft and made it turn-based, which I really appreciated, because one of the things that I always hated about StarCraft, as much as I love StarCraft, was that just my fingers don't move fast enough on the keyboard, or can't like make the macros or memorize the key codes to do the things that pros are doing. And so I always felt very limited in that respect. So I think that's why Advance Wars to me really kind of epitomized that strategy style gameplay. Because you can actually think about what you're doing in each turn. There's no time limit. That holds a special place for me.
Tactics games have been around for like a long time. They just weren't, like you said, they weren't called tactics games.
Right.
You had like Famicom Wars on the Famicom.
Right.
Which was also an intelligent systems game. I mean, even the original Fire Emblem, the Fire Emblem series originated on Famicom. So I mean, a lot of them go back. And we actually, like Sam said, I think, but you got it backwards because Tactics Ogre was first, and then Final Fantasy
that's
Tactics.
right.
Oh, really?
I just thought of it second. But
Yeah.
Was Tactics Ogre
Tactics Ogre
put the Tactics first.
Atlas?
Super Famicom.
Well, back then? Was it Atlas?
It was
Square?
published by Atlas.
Okay. So it had nothing to do with Square. Oh, it was Enix.
Well, it was Enix.
Oh, okay.
Before the merger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Super Famicom game. In
And
Japan.
my wider point just being that, a lot of franchises slap the word tactics in to do a strategy spinoff.
That's how
So
they would
Tactics
do it.
Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics, and we see that carried on today with Metal Slug Tactics. You understand exactly what that is. And I've said before, I'd like to see a Splatoon Tactics. And when I say that, you kind of know what I'm talking about.
I want it. It would be so
Dang,
good.
We forgot to mention Metal Slug Tactics. On
No,
the
I
list.
didn't. I mentioned it.
Did
we
we?
mentioned it.
There's just no info. There's just
Not-
no info about it yet. There's nothing to talk about. It just
Oh.
looks awesome.
Oh, it is on the list. I missed it. Sorry.
We talked about it very briefly. There's no info, so
It's gonna be fantastic.
Do you guys want to jump into some of these community topics now?
Do it.
Let's do it. Okay, $2 Hero says, my love for the criminally underrated codename Steam is well documented at this point, but I'm constantly thinking about how good Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was. Every time it comes up in conversation, it's like a fever dream. The concept had no business being as good of a strategy game as it was. Wow, codename Steam, you guys. We just gave one of those away in our Discord.
Yeah, when's the Keep Nintendo Weird episode of Codename Steam?
I know, man. You and I are
get to come on for that.
You and I are got to fight over it, or maybe he'll have both of us. We should just have both of us on
Well,
there.
one of you
because-
guys can be on for Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. That qualifies as a weird Nintendo game.
That's true.
It should have never existed.
That's true.
Honestly, it's probably more weird than Codename Steam.
Mario
would've
teaming
ever-
up with Rabbids and having a gun, yeah.
It's,
know, though.
it's more strange.
Abe Lincoln.
I'll say the
Abe Lincoln.
Lincoln versus
in-
Smash.
the characters and the concept of Codename Steam is probably more unique, but the likelihood of it happening is less or more likely than us ever seeing Mario tied together with a rabbit.
I don't know. I don't think that's that weird.
Whoever's fever dream that was.
I don't think it's that crazy. The Rabbids originated on the Wii. It's not like a non-Nintendo
Yeah, but it's not like
related.
the Rabbits had a tactics game before this.
Yeah.
Like, it was the whole thing.
I know, but
was crazy.
Codename Steam is a totally new IP with Abraham Lincoln. I don't want to get into it. All I'm saying is that Codename
public
Steam is
domain.
awesome.
That's the genius
That's-
of Codename
yeah,
he's
Steam.
actually
public domain,
true.
that's why
Characters
he's
are public
there.
domain
Yeah,
characters.
very true.
You can get Tom Sawyer and Dorothy and Abe Lincoln. Nobody
so
holds the rights.
The point of all this is that everybody should go buy a $5 copy of Codename Steam for their 3DS.
Oh, it's totally worth it.
So worth it. So good. Well-read Mage says, FF Tactics. Some days my what's he saying? Oh, okay. I asked what everyone's favorite tactics strategy games were. That's the question that I posed. That's why he has a one-word answer. He's saying Final Fantasy Tactics. Some days it's my all-time favorite Final Fantasy. Big time Final Fantasy Tactics fan. I would say that's my favorite Final Fantasy. Easy. I don't have a huge crush on most of those games. I love 9, but Tactics is where it's at. Fight Crab Fanatic. How do you say this? Jean?
Yeah,
Gene
D'Arc is
Gene
how I've
D'Arc?
always said it.
Gene D'Arc for the PSP is really good and unforgiving. And Mysteria Realms of Lore for the Sega Saturn. All right, we're going to look this one up. Mysteria.
Gene D'Arc has gone up in price a lot too. When I bought it on PSP, it was a lot less than what it is now.
I've heard good things about it, but I still don't have a PSP. I'm probably not getting one.
Mysteria Realms of
Come
Lore.
on. They're cheap games.
Mysteria
Not
Realms
this
of,
one.
Realms of Lore is a $120 Sega Saturn game.
Tell me a Sega Saturn game that isn't $20.
What is this? Published by Sega. That was a Sega developed, Sega published game. Let's get this back somehow. It's a tactics RPG. What the heck? What the heck, guys?
Was it not released anywhere else? Just there?
Nope. Just Sega Saturn.
How did that not make it to Xbox?
Or Dreamcast. No tactics RPGs on the Dreamcast. A tragedy.
I was hoping it'd be more like Toe Jam and Earl and skip the Dreamcast and go right to
maybe, yeah.
Xbox.
Oops says, Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics, my favorite game of all time. There are the GOATs, but a very underrated game I enjoy was Ark the Lad Twilight of Spirits on the PS2. Ooh, is Ark the Lad Tactics? Was it?
I'm not sure if all of them are. There's more than one.
Let's see. This looks interesting. I guess it is Tactics. I'm trying to get gameplay. Yeah, it's kind of like Tactics with no grid. So that's interesting. PS2 game. What's that thing go for? What do you guys think? Ark the Lad, Twilight of Spirits.
Cheap. $12.
$10. Really? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I have to pick that up.
Yeah, I might have to just to have it. I can't even
in my local.
I can't even play PS2 games. I don't have a single thing that plays PS2 games in my house, but
PS2s are easy enough to get.
Yeah, I had one. I had
a Slim. Though.
I had a Slim.
I'd shell out the extra money for a Slim.
I had one, and it stopped playing silver discs, so I sold it. LDP says the Fire Emblem and Advance Wars GBA games are my favorites since I played them on my SP in the back of my college economics class. Whoops. In the broader strategy sense, I spend a lot of time playing the Command and Conquer series over the years and just started a playthrough of Warcraft 2 again. I love base building and planning out offenses. Yeah, huge StarCraft. I love Warcraft 2. Played a little bit of Command and Conquer.
Amazing. So good. I've been playing it since the original one came out. Played a lot of Red Alert 2 in high school.
Yeah, I mostly played Red Alert 2.
Yeah, me too.
But I had like it was like a collection back then. I had Tiberian Sun and all that, They all came in one package.
What was the name of the first-person shooter that wasn't any good? I can't remember now. It's like something Commando or something.
I don't know.
Commando and Conquer?
Commando and Conquer.
Now you're going to make me look it up.
While you're looking that up, Flightsy says, does Pikmin count? I don't really play tactics games, but I've always seemed interested. Actually, this leads to my community couch question of my own, which is, what are some good strategy and tactics games I could try out? So some easier to understand. If this is your first tactics or strategy game, where do you start?
Well, obviously, you should just go right for Knights in the Nightmare.
No.
It's super easy to understand. Everything immediately makes sense, and the tutorial doesn't take 2 hours to play.
Oh, my God.
Command & Conquer Renegade.
Oh, Renegade. I remember that.
I mean, based on what I said earlier, I would say like the newer stuff is probably a lot more approachable. Mm-hmm. It's everything's usually a lot more streamlined. So I mean, something like Triangle Strategy, even Triangle Strategy is really good with difficulty. You can get pretty far by just trying again because your experience carries over when you die. When you fail a mission, you still earn experience points. So it's really not an overly hard game.
Not only that, but you learn a lot about the battle you're about to face by just playing through it and failing. I was surprised by how much I learned by failing. I failed a mission 4 times, and then I kind of like learned the terrain and was able to use that to my advantage. So failing is kind of part of the learning process for Triangle Strategy. Is Pikmin a strategy game? I don't think anybody would call it that, but it is a real-time strategy type. I would say it's some kind of subgenre of real-time strategy.
It's definitely in its own kind of category.
Yeah, it's usually considered a real-time strategy, which I guess is a strategy game. Like, it requires strategy to play, I guess.
It's more like resource management.
Tell me a video game that doesn't require strategy to play now.
Well, sure, but I think it falls more in the resource management side of things, where like your Pikmin are your resource and your warriors. So,
I mean, strategy is almost like RPG, like trying to define the different types.
Right, yeah.
You're going to go into all kinds of rabbit holes.
Pikmin's kind of in a category of its own, but I think that it's not a bad place to start to kind of get the idea of like, oh, I have to be thinking about multiple things happening at the same time. I have to manage multiple tasks in order to complete the goal within the time limit. Actually, I might say StarCraft 2, if you're already comfortable playing on PC with stuff, like if that's not a barrier for you, as far as like keyboard and mouse goes, StarCraft 2's campaign is very playable, and there's a difficulty settings, and the tutorial's very well done. I would say StarCraft 2 is a really good one to start with.
StarCraft 2, you don't even really, like, if you're just starting out, you're not going to use the keyboard a whole lot. Like, it's a lot of people just mouse click when they first start StarCraft.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about those RTS games is you can't, like, if you're playing against AI, you can turn the difficulty down. You can learn the ropes.
Yeah.
It does, like, I did have issues because I tried Age of Empires 4 for when it came out last year, and I just, like, had a lot of stress on me knowing that I wasn't like optimally assigning workers. It just leads to this like constant like gnawing in the back of your head, like, oh, this is...
I mean, a lot of the
even if I'm winning, it's like I'm not winning as much as I should be.
Right.
You know?
A lot of the stuff with the keyboard, like when you're getting going, is like binding groups of units and like creating hotkeys for switching back and forth between stuff like that, or hotkeying creating units and things like that.
And all of that was
really not necessary at first.
Yeah, not at all. And even getting into that stuff isn't too hard. Where I started to lose it was when the next step for me was hotkeying camera positions on the map to your function keys. That's when I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't assign groups of people to the numbers and camera positions to the function keys. I'm going to lose my mind. So I'm done.
Yeah.
That being said, you don't have to do that with StarCraft 2. It's very easy to play the campaign without having to do any of that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Back to the question, I would say for people who like RPGs a lot, Fire Emblem's a good on-ramp to strategy, because Fire Emblem is really primarily an RPG. Battle outcomes are determined mostly by your character's stats and not by positioning. You just kind of, it's an RPG that is on a grid, basically.
Actually, Advance Wars wouldn't be a bad place to start too, because it takes the
Advance Wars can be pretty tough, actually.
Yeah, but it
once you get a couple missions in,
it's kind of like triangle strategy, where you lose once to learn what your enemy is going to do, and then the second round is much easier. But it's a good kind of baby step towards real-time strategy also.
Like, Three Houses is a good place to start too, because that game is pretty well balanced. Like, it's not too difficult, but there's difficulty there if you want it, is what I would say. Like, you could play on the easy mode and just have fun with it and learn a tactics game.
Speaking of Three Houses, Solo Something says his favorite tactics game is Fire Emblem Three Houses. He says, love how it's tactics and some drops of RPG, running around the grounds as I complete quests, routine, missing items, and take time for a cup of tea, sometimes for what I planted. Also, helping a girl realize she doesn't have to stay locked up in her room. I don't get the joke.
Bernadetta.
But I'm sure it's funny. And finally, we have Spider Shan, who says, I have the most experience with Fire Emblem games, which I first picked up on a whim on GameCube, Path of Radiance. Since then, I've played nearly all the English released games in the series. I don't mind the newer games like Three Houses, but I miss the older ones without the dating, marrying, kids stuff. My favorite strategy game probably is the original Final Fantasy Tactics. The Game Boy Advance sequel was okay, but I wasn't crazy about the law mechanics, which bogged down the battles. I really want to get into triangle strategy one of these days, and you should, Spider Shan. Really, really should. Especially if you like FFT. Guys, that just about wraps up our topic. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Eternal Eyes because that's a game nobody ever talks about.
Yes, I actually looked this up.
PlayStation 1.
I looked it up when you brought it up.
It's like a tactics game, but it's also like Pokemon, kind of. So the concept is that your main character, who does get to fight by himself as well, alongside these monster things, he has the ability to bring magical puppets to life by like throwing magic gems at them.
Oh.
And so they turn into different monsters, and there's like a whole, like every time you beat something, it'll drop another gem for you, and you can use them to evolve the ones you have. And it's really weird because sometimes you evolve something and it just gets worse. So it's you need a guide for this game.
That's not evolve, that's devolve.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'll transform and it'll just be like, it'll transform into this. And you're like, I don't know what that is. It doesn't like tell you what the stats of the new thing are. And then you evolve it and you're like, oh, what I had was better.
That's funny.
Oops. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It's one of those, I don't even know if it holds up all that well, but I remember liking it a lot because it's just one of those random, after I got a PS2, we would just find random PS1 games in bargain bins, and several of them turned out to actually be really fun.
The gameplay video that I watched of this game reminded me a little bit of Disgaea. Is it like Disgaea?
I haven't played Disgaea.
Oh,
because there's a demo of Disgaea.
There's a capture.
Disgaea is the one that has like ridiculously high numbers for everything, right?
Yes, but there's also a capture mechanic.
It doesn't have that.
There's a capture mechanic.
Everything's exaggerated. Also, we can't leave the conversation without bringing up Valkyria Chronicles.
Oh yeah, I played a little bit of that.
I played all of it. Well, the first one, not the whole series. It didn't stick with me, and like I like Codename Steam, but I will admit that I like Codename Steam more for its concept than its gameplay, because I would put those are very similar gameplay.
They're similar,
ones.
yeah. So yeah, you can play 1 and 2.
Now, Valkyria Chronicles is not on a grid, though, right?
No, it's free movement, and the thing that bothered me about it was you can kind of move freely, but then like enemies might shoot you if you get into range, and trying to test that boundary was just tedious for me. But yeah,
they fixed that later on, I think. I think 4 has like the like it shows you the radius.
Yeah, I think I played the demo of 4.
Shoot.
And I liked it okay. I don't remember what it wasn't. I had some weird trouble with one point, and I just gave up. I was like, this is broken. I left.
Yeah, I have it digitally, and then I bought the big collector's one that comes with the model tank and everything.
Nice.
And just slipped in the package. It got down to like $20 on Amazon. So
I like model tanks.
Now it's back up to like $100.
But since we're bringing up Valkyria Chronicles, I also want to say Battalion Wars is really fun and really awesome, and I don't know why they stopped making it. Probably the same reason they stopped making Advance Wars.
Dan, have you had a chance, since you have a TurboGrafx Mini, have you had a chance to play Military Madness yet?
No, I haven't fired it up since I got it, since I first played it.
It's definitely close to Advance Wars. It's different in a couple significant ways. The key to winning is like surrounding enemy units, but I think it's actually, once you sort of understand that, it starts to make a lot more sense. And there's no like CO powers or anything, but it feels very Advance Wars to me.
Cool. I definitely want to check it out. Definitely.
Did any of you guys play the Dark Crystal Tactics game? I never did play it.
It was briefly on Game Pass, I think, so I did try it. Wasn't terribly impressed, but it wasn't like bad.
What a weird... What?
It's an odd choice. I mean, that is a sign that tactics games were coming back into fashion, though, when just like random licensed games are just like, yeah, let's just do this.
Who thought that was the go-to genre for Dark Crystal?
What else would you do for Dark Crystal?
I don't.
Like an RPG?
Just make a movie. On that note, let's jump into. We got a couple community couch questions. We'll jump into right after this. So stick around. Welcome back. We're here on the community couch talking about stuff. Flightsy has our first question for us tonight. He says, how do you find good retro stores near you? I've tried looking it up and only stuff like GameStop and Disc Replay seem to come up. I mean, your mileage may vary. There might not be any retro stores around you these days, especially.
You basically just need to search for Game Store and then like kind of sort it out from there.
Filter out the board game stores. I mean, if you wander into a board game store, that's cool too.
It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah. That's a 50-50. They might have some retro games, actually. There's a board game store in San Marcos near me that has pretty good selection of video games as well. But
or a TCG store.
Or call them. Yeah, there's a couple of chains around the world, like what's the one, Vintage Stock, that you always go to, John?
Yeah, I don't know how far their reach is. I know they originated about an hour west of me in Joplin, Missouri, and then they've kind of taken over Oklahoma and the rest of Missouri, and I think Arkansas, and like there's just kind of around my area, but I don't know how far they go out.
I mean, as far as like knowing if they're good before you actually go there, there's like no way to know. Basically.
No, yeah.
Sometimes some of the best places won't even have pictures. So
the place near me that's pretty big, like they have locations all over the U.S. and Texas, is Game Exchange. So
yeah, Game Exchange is all over. They're in Missouri as well.
They're pretty big and they're okay. Their stuff's usually not cleaned very well. You're usually buying a dirty game.
Kind of sketchy.
They're a little sketchy, but if you know what you're looking for, I mean, I've bought from there and they're fine.
You can definitely find some things that are not labeled correctly. Like I bought a bunch of GameCube memory cards that were the largest, the white.
Yeah.
Because it goes gray, black, white.
Right.
And they had the white ones labeled as gray ones and, had them for like a third of their actual cost. So I bought like all the ones they had.
I've done that with like controllers. They had something weird with controllers going on. But Game Exchange isn't horrible, but that might be one that's near you. You just really, what Sam said, you got to search Game Store and then just kind of keep scrolling and filter out what's there. And you might have to like call or visit to see what they actually have, because it might be just a guy. There's a place in Houston that I love to go to, and I forget the name now, but it's just a guy in like a little strip mall, and he has no pictures on his website, but the store is great. Clean store. He has great stock, priced fairly, and the guy was really cool, but yeah, his website was horrible. So you just don't know. Sometimes you just got to call or figure it out, but hopefully that helps you, Flightsy.
I mean, yeah, it's almost a consequence of if they have like a great website or a great online presence, then either their prices are high or everything they have will be picked over by other people before you get there.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of times the hole-in-the-wall places are the good ones to go to because less people know about them.
Yeah, like
that's true.
Random stall at the flea market that nobody even knew was going to be there.
Yeah, so you might even want to try like, I don't know, like you might want to try like if your city has a subreddit, that's a good place to ask, or like a local, or like maybe like.
Honestly, it goes in this order. If you're looking for deals, your best deals are going to be from just another person. So like yard sales, sales ads, places. That's your best deal every time.
The RetroLogic Discord swap meet channel.
Yep. There you go. That too. And then number 2, go look in your flea markets and things, because a lot of times those people don't know the exact value of a video game, and they'll just throw it in their booth for like, however much they think a video game goes for. Really, if you're going to a game shop, those people have at least a relative idea of what something's worth. So that's where I go if I'm just looking to pick something up that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've already exhausted all my other resources, I haven't ran across it, then I start reaching out to either people in our community to help me look for things, or I go to the game store and locally and try to find something. But you're generally going to get the best deal just by yard sale surfing. And
these days it's pretty common for somebody at a game store to just pull up price charting and give you that price.
And I mean, honestly, my first step if I'm looking for something specific is to drop a line in the community and say like, hey, does anybody have this game? Would you be willing to sell it? Like, because people in the community are going to give you a deal most of the time, based on what the value is. But but I will say though, a retro game store is an experience too. Like, it's fun to just go and browse and see what they have. So I don't want to discount that also.
And I go to mine locals at least once a week.
Yeah.
So if there's ever any, if you're on Discord and there's something you're just looking for that you want a chance of getting a better price than what it's going for on eBay or Mercari, if you just drop it in the Discord, one of us visiting our locals can kind of keep an eye out for it and see if we can turn something up. And
my collection's kind of a rotating thing now anyway, so I might be willing to just sell you mine because I don't want to play it anymore. Whatever it is. Our next question comes from Fight Crab Fanatic, who says, if you had to collect a niche of retro games, what would you pick? An example is World War II games, wrestling games, the DS, Imagine Babysitters games. Collect a niche of retro games.
I'm already doing that. It's called Neo Geo Pocket.
Neo Geo Pocket is niche. Yeah. Usually if I go for a niche, it's like a developer that I like, or
I do that a lot too.
Something like that. Like Treasure's a really good example. We've all been kind of obsessed with Treasure lately. And Rare.
Usually if it's a cartridge game and it has Atlas on it, I usually buy it because it's probably something that I'm interested in.
Or Natsume. Natsume is another one like that.
Natsume is a good one too. Early Natsume.
I used to be really into any Star Wars video game. I didn't care what it was. I would just buy it because it's Star Wars, which turned out to not be like the best mark of quality all the time, but still.
Anything past Super Star Wars, there's some gaps.
And I mean, I have my favorites, like any Donkey Kong game I'm going to buy day one, no matter what it is, or thing, or amiibo, or Hot Wheels car. So, Happy Meal. Yeah, I do have that one as well. I have the original run of the Mario Kart 8 Donkey Kong from like 2013, 14, 15, something like that. Final question. Oops says, what's a game you missed when it was new, then realized later you could not believe how good it was?
I mean, this is like most of the games I play these days.
I know, right?
Yeah. Very seldom.
Most of the GameCube games I play. I missed a lot of GameCube.
Super Metroid I played for the first time last year, and that blew my freaking mind out of the back of my head. Yeah.
Odama.
Or like a recent game. I mean, I have recent games that I bought after, like, much later than their launch. Like Paper Mario Origami King, I bought much later for cheap, but I still haven't played it. So I don't know.
You're missing out. That's a great game.
I know it is. I just don't. There needs to be a lull sometime. There's got to be some time in my life.
When the Switch becomes like the Wii U, you'll have time.
Yeah, right. You know what? I think Super Mario Maker 2 I didn't play when it was new. and then later I got it because I wanted to make levels with my son.
I'm going to say Pikmin 3 because I bought it for the Wii U. My kids played some of it, and I never got a chance to play it because I moved on to other things. And then I never did play it until it re-released on the Switch, and it's an awesome game.
It's an awesome game. I love Pikmin. Yeah, good question though. Oops, thanks for that, guys. That just about does it for our show. I'm excited for all the new things. If you didn't know, John is hosting a new retro game podcast called On Topic Retro. It's not in the RetroLogic feed. You got to search for it, or you can go to retrologic.games and go to the podcast tab, and you can click there and find the podcast app of your choice to subscribe it there. We would really appreciate it if you would do that. You can leave a review for it also on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. We'd also very much appreciate that. And then on Thursday, I'll blast it out then too. But Sam's got a blog post coming also to retrologic.games. So go there on Thursday and check that out. That's all the like cool things happening around the RetroLogic fire. If you're not in the Discord, what are you doing? Like, cool people are there. Giveaways every Friday. Get in the know about all the news and stuff coming. Do the
right
thing.
Now, it's the only way to vote on your Retro Rewind game.
Yeah, you got to do it. That's it, guys. I'm going to say my outro thing now, which is thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at RetroLogic Games. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. The link to that is in my Twitter bio and at retrologic.games, where you can find all the other things, including merch, stickers, t-shirts, all the things. So, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye. Yeah, it's officially called Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, not Lord of the Rings.
That's so weird that, like, here, you can use everything except the name.
Well, and it's weird, too, because now they're, like, super permissive. They're letting Amazon, like, change everything for the new series, so... But yeah, after the Hobbit movies, they were like, "Whoa, we can't just let people have rights."
I guess that
to
makes
do what
sense.
they want.
Which is really weird because the Hobbit movies were pretty good and like they were pretty close to like the literature. They expanded
the
like
Hobbit movies.
Oh, they just weren't very well made. Is my problem. There's literal GoPro shots in that movie.
Well, yeah, but the thing with those movies is they took a book that like the smallest token book ever wrote, and they made it into 3 movies. And
they did not need to do that.
The whole trilogy into 3 movies.
They did not need to do that.
Trilogy could have been like 9 movies, and the Hobbit should have been 1 movie.
True. They had to stretch.
Yeah, they did. You got to make that money, man.
The Hobbit video game is surprisingly pretty good. The one
Lego
for
one?
Xbox, PS2, and GameCube.